All right, so in the first tutorial, we looked at how to create a kind of a simple prompt. The second tutorial, we looked at just a simple way to get some characters that looked pretty similar to each other. This one, we'll look at how to get the same character in multiple poses. Again, this isn't going to be 100% perfect. You could probably get better results if you really learn to work with your AI tool and learn more about the different parameters and variables that you can use. There's a lot of things you can do, and I added a link to one of the people I follow that has done a lot about creating kind of a similar character. We're going to keep it simple. The main thing for me is that can I create a viable character? So we're going to go ahead and just create a new prompt here. We'll do an androgynous teenage we'll just say employee. I don't know what that's going to give us. That's our character, right? And then we're going to have that character, we'll say gesturing with no other emotion or anything to that. This is where we're going to do 3 poses. That's where we're going to get these extra characters. And then what we're going to do is say, let's see, we got 3 poses. We're going to say flat vector illustration, right? Because that's what we've been going with. And again, you can always change these parameters, and then white background. So that's the simple part. We created an object or character. We've created some action. We added 3 poses, flat vector. So in the past, we were doing just a single pose, right? What's nice is you're going to get a character in these 3 poses that give you a pretty good variety in what you're going to do here. So we're going to go ahead. I'm going to copy this while we have it, and we're going to change it up. So let's go ahead and paste that one. Let's just do imagine. Let's do another. We're going to change this to 2 poses. See what happens. And then we're going to add a lot more poses. Because I had somebody recently ask me, well, can't you put 10 poses or 15? So let's go ahead and see what happens. We're going to say 5 poses. And then we'll do 10 poses. Just to kind of see what we get. I find personally that 2 and 3 are the best. And so you can see what you get here. I probably could have put a hyphen between teenage, but that's okay. So you can already start to see these generating. They're almost done. Let's look at this one here. So this is the 3. Let's open that up in a browser and see what we have here. So what's interesting is like when you look at it here, you go, oh, this looks actually pretty good, right? But once you actually get into the browser and you start to look at them in the browser, you can start to notice the wonkiness, like right here, right? The eyes, this looks like the Terminator eye, right? The hands look weird. This hands are weird here. These are weird. The face gets all wonky, right? I did notice that like with the illustrated characters versus photo characters, the illustrated characters' hands really are more problematic than they are with photo characters. The other thing is like holding things. Like if you say holding a laptop, holding a microphone, holding something, I think there's just not enough reference material for illustrations and kind of very specific prompts. So I think that's why you get a lot of weirdness, because I just think it doesn't have enough reference material. What works though is if you find a head that works, right? I don't like it when it produces glasses because you always get a lot of weirdness to them. But let's say you find a head that works. Let's look at this. So if I was working with a character and the head worked, like this one actually works okay. I mean, these hands are a little odd, but we can fix that. But if I like the head works, you could copy that head and just paste it over when you're working with the same thing with if there's a face that works, like maybe this face works, right? This head, you can copy and paste that. But in this case, what's cool is you do have 3 different poses here, and it looks like the same character. If you put that character, even if there are little subtle differences, if you put that character over 3 different slides, nobody would really notice that difference. You do get these oddities. That's okay. This is kind of weird. Why is this thing just floating here? That's easy enough to cut out in Photoshop. The hands, these things, that'll work. Once you vectorize those, you can fix them. The eyes, something like this here. When you get this, where was it? Where did our character go? It's like this eye works pretty good. This one doesn't. What I would do is just do a stamping tool and stamp this eye on here, and you fixed it. I don't like when it uses glasses normally because it really messes up the faces, but this one actually worked out pretty well. But this one, these are viable characters. Same thing. You can, if you don't like the way this works here, you can cut these legs and put these legs on there. So you've got options to work with. You've got body parts. That's the main thing, right? You're creating a character with multiple poses, and you've got body parts that you can mix and match. So that's 3. I like working with 3 is the best because you get 3 different poses and they kind of work. If we look at 2, works pretty well, right? So we've got 2 characters. What's funny to me is like when I use 3, the 3 characters look like they belong together. When I use 2, these don't look the same except for maybe the clothes. These don't look the same. These could be. So it's kind of weird. It's like 3 just seems to be the good number. You get 4. 4, you just get weirdness, right? Or this, is this 4 or 5? This is 5. So 5, this kind of works, but watch when we zoom in. So you got 5 different poses. That's kind of cool, right? And these could work, but you see how they just start to get a bit grotesque, right? It's like they get really weird. So on the surface, they look great. You start zooming in, and it's like the face is already messed up. The hands are messed up. It's like it gives you the idea of the hand, but it's really not what you want. They always do good jobs on the legs, though, which is great. If you just need legs, AI is the way to go. But one of the things is when you have these characters and you vectorize them, that does clean this up. But the 5 characters just become unusable, right? Like this, you got hands coming out of her back. You've got, all just kind of weird, right? Always reminds me of those aliens that are transforming into humans in those movies. All right, so I wouldn't do 5 or 6 or 10. You can see it just gets worse. Again, as a sheet here, it looks good if you're not zooming in, but once you start zooming in, these ones actually work okay, right? So you could probably use these. It just depends. Maybe they're usable, maybe they're not. One thing is if you're an illustrator, you kind of have a core pose. You could put your own faces and stuff together, and then that would work. Like you could cut one of the faces and just paste, fill all these in solid, then paste a face over it, and you could fix that. But the poses are nice, right? You get nice variety in the poses, but it just doesn't work very well. And then let's see, that was 10. So I like to use 3. So we're gonna go with the 3. We're just gonna do this. Just do another character pack just because we can do characters. Before we do the characters, I'm going to stylize these because then let's go ahead and change the settings. So we'll go to settings. I'm going to go to higher style just to see what we get. And then let's go ahead and do our own character. So let's just change this to, I don't want the teenage. We'll just do black business manager, and then we'll say casual attire, gesturing, and then we'll say thinking as well. Oops, thinking. And we'll keep that. So now we're going to get, this is going to be a little bit more stylized. And let's see what we get. All right, so here's our stylized background, right? This is interesting. You get, I think, really nice looking characters, but because we have that stylized component to it, it just creates this style stuff. And so like you'd have to cut and clean some of this stuff out. So maybe this is too much, but it is kind of nice because you get a different looking character from that, right? Like I really like this character. I like these. But let's see what they look like when we open them. So you can see the faces do kind of break down a little bit, but that's okay because when we vectorize them, they get cleaned up. You would just have to go in and clean up all this gibberish around the character, right? And then you kind of just get this weirdness, but the hands and stuff seem to get better. So you just have to figure out what's usable in one of these, right? Like you have this character, 3 things. It's a shame this is a little bit more subtle, but I could take this and crop it and that would work. But you can see just by changing that styling, you get different characters. Here's a good example of where the faces get really wonky, right? This one, it's just, it just doesn't look right. It looks like they're like parts of faces glued on. But if you had something like, you could probably take this, because once you vectorize it, this would work. You could take this face and then put that over these broken areas. So there's something that just comes into the editing process. But as you can see, you get some pretty nice characters to work with. And once you upscale them and then stylize them, or upscale them and vectorize them, they'll turn out a lot better. And it fixes some of those issues. All right, so I don't know if I want to stick with that styling. So I'm actually, can I just change it back? We're just going to go stylize. Let's go stylize high and see what we get. It's the stylizing that causes all the gibberish in the background. So let's just go ahead and see what we get here. Oops, I lost it for some reason. So let's do this here. Oops, I forgot the prompt. Okay, let's add the prompt in. All right. So we've not took it down a notch on the styling, and we'll see what that looks like. Now that worked really well, right? Because now we don't have quite as much of this styling in here, and we have this character. Like we have 3 poses of this character. These probably work. These work, right? So these all work. So we've got this character. Let's see here. I'm going to change. That was this. Let's go to the lowest style setting just to see what we get. And we're going to go to low, and we're going to do the same prompt and see what we have. So while that's going, so we have our, we didn't do it in our medium one, but we have one that would be more like this. So we can actually, once this gets done, we can change it to the medium, which is what I have as my default, and then see how that works. And then we can compare those images. This actually looks like it's starting pretty well. All right, I like these. These look pretty good. I can use these. And again, you know, I mean, these characters are close enough, even just these 2 right here, they're close enough that if I just filled in his hair here, it looks like they're the same character, right? Now you do get some wonkiness again, like you got this extra arm here, but you can fix some of that. Like you can clean that up and then you don't notice the arm and the hands, you know, but you do have that. So that was the medium or low style. Let's go ahead and change it to medium, and then let's redo that prompt, and then, oops, let's redo that prompt and see what we get with medium here. All right, so here's medium. So we have low, medium, this was high, and then this was very high. So you get more detail and styling in there, but you never know what you're going to get. I think we could probably work with this. I think personally I like to go with a little bit lower just because there's not as much detail. Because that detail, if it's a flatter illustration, I don't have the detail. I can fix that. If I have a lot of detail like these ones that are a little closer to like photo quality, it's harder to fix like issues with the eyes and face because it's just too close to real. But if you get something where it's like a flat character like this, it's easy enough. It's like one color. You can pretty much just take all that out and paste something over it, right? It's a lot easier to edit that. This one here, the second one, the default, I like that. So we've got like the characters. Let's say I like this guy in the vest, right? It's the same character. So I'm going to take this character. We're going to upscale him. And then we're going to go ahead and do version. And again, we're doing like a minor version here. Oh, did I pick the wrong? I picked 4, so we're going to go with 4. And then we'll see what we get. All right, so now we're done. So this is our original character. What's nice is we've got a nice clean face, so easy to work with. We can copy and paste. The hands look pretty good. Even if the other hands are messed up, I can copy and paste these hands. And then come over here. And they're all just a little bit different, right? But they all look like the same character. So if I look at them in a browser, I can see that they're not exact. Like this face obviously is not the same as this, but they're close enough that if I had that character on slide 1 and went to slide 2, you might not notice. I'd probably want to, this one you do notice because the facial hair, but you could fix that easily. You can just draw a line over there and fix that. Because again, it's kind of a flat illustration. So if this is messed up, it's easy enough to take a color picker and just draw over the beard, right? And not have a beard. Then if there was a lot of details and wrinkles and color tone and stuff like that. So these are really nice. These characters work. Obviously these look different. These two characters look different, but that's easy enough to fix. Once you vectorize them, some of that difference is minimized, but again, you can just take the heads and copy and paste them and change those out and fix these hands and stuff. So this is a good example where, okay, like this hand, I changed the color, but this hand works, and I could copy this hand and paste this hand here. If I like this face better than this style, because it's bigger eyes or whatever, I can copy this face style. I can just copy the face style and paste it right into the different faces. So that works. This hand right here could probably fit right over there as well. So these are all viable. So once I have characters that I like, then what I would do is I've got 2 characters here. I'm going to upscale these, and now I'll have 5 characters with 2 characters each panel. So now I have 10 characters from which I can work. If you did the 3, like let's do the 3 here. Let's do this one because you get 3 very distinct poses. So let's do, that's what, 3 here. Let's see what we get. All right, so this is our original pose. You can see the face is a little bit odd, but we can work around that like we talked about earlier. And then these are my different variations of that character. And if I click in there, I have a face I can work with somewhere in there, right? And I'll show you in the next week how we can fix that. I have faces I can work with in there. The glasses are intact, so it's just fixing the eyes. And then like this is a viable hand. And you see you've got some hands you can change those up and work. But now you've got some really good characters that you can use in your courses. And once you upscale them and clean them up, they're going to be characters that you can use and save time, right? So hopefully that helps you. Again, if I was you and you're using the AI tools, I would go in and learn more about the parameters. I'm just showing the basics. If you understand the parameters and the things you can do with your styling and all that, you can come up with a lot more consistency in your characters. And there's ways that you can use a base character as a starting character, and then you get even better details. My goal in all this is, like, I don't want to be an AI expert. I want to do something that, okay, I need a character. This is what I need. Can I get something? If I do minor cleanup work on it, can I use that quickly? And I think that's the goal. It's like the rapid e-learning version of creating characters. I don't want to spend a bunch of time editing or playing around with these AI tools. Hopefully you can use this and you can use those characters. Let me know if you have questions.